Hey team, Mandy here, clinical nutritionist of the Body Reset Program. We are 4 days out from Christmas, and I want to take a few minutes today to talk through some mindset shifts around food. Ollie touched on this last week with his discussion around alcohol, and I just wanted to bring the same sort of thought process and discussion to food today. There is a couple of different ends of the spectrum when it comes to approaching food and approaching meals at this time of the year that I see really commonly with people. There's the I'm just going to eat it and enjoy it and do whatever and come back to my nutrition plan or my training plan or whatever in the new year. And so it's kind of that just chuck the towel and go for gold. Don't worry about the consequences until later on. And then there's also a group of people who maybe the changes that they're making are just new and fresh, or they're a little bit worried that once they get off track, they typically can't get back on track. So they're really anxious about protecting their little habits. And I want to just talk to both of those ends of the spectrum today with a couple of little thought ideas for you. So the first one is just around the nostalgic component, the joy component when it comes to food at Christmas time. There is a lot of, or to be fair, any holidays, any special occasions throughout the year. There is a lot of nostalgia attached with food because we associate it with special occasions that we've had with friends and family and special times and special memories. And this is really cool, but what happens over time is that the food becomes the central focus of that memory rather than the things that are attached to it. And so we start to put this hyper focus, almost idolizing the food itself rather than what's attached to it. So I just wanted to take you on a little thought journey here for a minute. I want you to visualize that food, that special nostalgic food that you have. Maybe it's Christmas time, any time of the year. Get that into the back of mind right now. And then instead of taking that food into the environment where we've got family and friends and it's sunshiny and it's a good day, we're going to take that food into the middle of nowhere. We're going to go into a deep, dark cave where we're trapped and by ourselves and we have nothing but that food. And then see if that food still holds the same value for us. Because I think when you take the food out of the environment, the food loses its specialness, because what makes it special is the place and the people and the connection with which it comes. So it's a good idea to kind of take your mind on that little journey to just reassociate with the actual feeling that we're trying to capture at that time, and realize that where our attention goes, energy flows. That means the thing we put the most attention on is the thing that kind of takes the most attention. And if that focus is solely on a food, the food gets blown out of proportion compared to what else is special about the day. So spend some time focusing on all the other stuff. What surrounds the food that makes it really special, that you can enjoy just as much, and it takes the pressure of having to overconsume or overindulge in that food to get the same amount of enjoyment. The next one is around this ability to say no to something. And it absolutely comes into play with the alcohol discussion, but we have this need to say yes if someone offers us someone or brings us a drink or offers us seconds or something like that. To say yes, it feels like we need to be polite in that moment. But I just want to remind you that that is not the case. You get to choose what goes in your body, and no one is actually going to be offended in the long term if you say no to that food right now. So what I would suggest here is say no in a way that doesn't leave room for discussion. Say, no, I'm actually full now, thanks. Or, no, thanks, but I'd really like a glass of water. It doesn't need to be left open for discussion. It's not a, nah, I can't do that because I'm on this special diet, or nah, I've probably eaten too much of that already. I probably shouldn't have any more. That leaves it open for discussion. You're absolutely going to get pushback on that. But if you just say, no, thanks, I'm all good, don't need any more, no one's going to question that or argue that with that. And if this is hard, because actually that does take practice, I would suggest going into any occasion where you feel like you might kind of have trouble with that, with some preset intentions. Because if you go into something knowing, I'm just going to have 2 drinks tonight, that's it, then you're more likely to stick to that. So go in with a plan if you do struggle with that saying no, so that then you can practice saying no with already a little bit of intention behind it. The other thing, the other end of the spectrum here is kind of that anxiety which comes up around food. If you know that you have a pattern of doing really well with a nutrition plan for a while or changing your habits around food, then something comes along, if it makes you feel like you're off track and you just can't really seem to get back in the flow again. If this is you and you have some anxiety around these meals and this kind of lack of routine coming up at Christmas time, I just want to kind of give you a little bit of freedom here If you eat 4 meals a day for 365 days of the year, that gives you a total of 1,460 meals across the whole year. Now, if 4 or 5 or 6 of those, even over a few days of Christmas, are not the meals that you would typically eat, or maybe that you need to eat to keep your health and body composition and whatnot in the right place, it actually doesn't matter. You can't put on a whole lot of weight from one meal. You can't put your health back to square one, your gut health, or whatever it is you're working on, with 1 or 2 meals. So, what I would say if there is some anxiety going into these meals is to anchor your first meal of the day. Anchor with some protein, anchor with some choice, some vegetables, and all that sort of stuff, so you can go into the day feeling your best. Because if you start out feeling good, you are more likely to make continuous choices throughout the day that are going to continue that feeling. Whereas if you start the day feeling a bit because maybe you started the day with who knows, maybe a bagel with cream cheese or something like that, then you're going to struggle to get that feeling back because you're already feeling a bit off. So start the day with a really solid protein, vegetable-based anchor, stabilize your blood sugars, and just go into the day strong. And then that anchoring of the day then repeats, because the next morning, when maybe things have gone a bit to the side, you bring it back in. And you just have that anchor point at the start of each day to keep you in line with what it is you want to do. And then lastly, if you are someone who maybe has gone into occasion where you have overindulged a little bit and you have that guilty feeling, or maybe you have that bloated fat feeling that we can get, right? We've all been in this place before where we're like, yep, that was probably a little bit too much. The tendency here is for our mind to go to that place, well, I need to eat less tomorrow. I need to skip some meals. I need to go on a diet in January. I need to run off these calories. And all I'm going to say to that, guys, is please don't do that. Um, Instead, let's just think about this for a moment. Your body can't put on a kilo or 2 kilos or 3 kilos of fat overnight. It just biologically cannot happen. So that extra weight, that extra puffiness that you're feeling is simply extra food volume, maybe a bit of bloating or water retention or whatever it is going on, and it will pass. And so there is absolutely no need to go then and run off those calories or punish your body by skipping meals. It simply needs to get back to the foods that make you feel good again. And that's all there has to be to that. There does not need to be any more. But what I would say is, if you are feeling that way and you know you did eat a bit more than maybe you needed to, then how about we switch that around and put that food to a really good use? Use it for something fun. It's a whole lot of food energy, which can now be converted into energy that you get to use. So go out and do something fun. Maybe go and do a really great strength workout and build some muscle with it. Use it for something good rather than beating yourself up about it. Because at the end of the day, in the context of a year, in the context of a lifetime, it really doesn't matter. And sometimes the anxiety we have around the action, or even the anxiety we have around the food, is more detrimental to our health in the long term than just having the thing and moving on in the first place. So the last thing I just want to leave you with here is just a little mindset shift that has sort of helped me over time, and that is to zoom out from the situation that we're in. So we want to be present. We want to be in the moment for Christmas, for New Year, for all the fun and stuff that we get to have at this time of year. But at the same time, hold it in context of the place where it kind of exists in our life, which is just a short space of time. So zoom out of it and get connected with that vision of you that is bigger and beyond Christmas, and hold on to that through that time, and let your choices through the next few weeks be guided by who it is that you want to be and how you want to show up in the world. Because then it takes the pressure off those individual little momentary choices, which can be so hard when we're kind of stuck in them. Hopefully that's helpful, guys. A little bit of a mindset around the food coming into this time of year, regardless of whether you chuck it all in and start again next year, which I don't suggest you should do, because that is, I guess, coming at this from that diet approach, which is not helpful for anyone, or whether you're someone that's just kind of a little bit over anxious and tending to miss out on some of the fun because you're too anxious, I don't suggest you do that either. There is a middle ground in the middle there where we actually get to enjoy the food, we get to enjoy the connection, and we get to enjoy it in a way that we actually feel good. So have a great Christmas, everyone, wherever you are now, and I will see you next time. Bye.